Welcome to Backspace Backspace Backspace. It's a short psychological horror about an author losing his job to AI. I read the warning. My role model made it clear what I was getting myself into. Following those humble footprints, left behind by a literary giant. Writing a book is a horrible, exhausting struggle, like a long bout of some painful illness, and so I writhe terminally. My eyes have been glued to my monitor at this exact window since 5:30. Well, that's not entirely true. I occasionally looked at my phone, or at nothing in particular. An escape from an escape. I set out to make, but I consume. I self-mummify. I just sit and stare. What is wrong with me? This word count is pitiful, to say nothing of the quality. Hanging on like a hopeful week-old post-it, really? I've been racking my head trying to squeeze out this idea. It was so clear in my mind, and this is all I've got? AI could have done this in seconds, and probably better. Right? AI still got lots to go. Right? AI gets things wrong all the time. And the more it makes, the more it struggles to stay cohesive. But my friend on Discord, he said he pumped out a novel in 29 days. A whole novel. That's 80,000 words, give or take. He's got a publisher and everything too. Meanwhile, pathetic. Why am I doing this? Why am I subjecting myself to this? I could have been anything by now. I could have been in a band. Yeah, selling records, making tunes. Appreciable across lingual boundaries. Not like words. Meaningless, slippery words. I had to choose the worst skill to work on. Right? Really? Who was I kidding? Sure, I could start practicing a different skill. Those who already excel at them always say that. It's not too late to start learning, they repeat religiously. They're probably right, but what does that phrase feel like such a bold-faced lie? It gives me the impression of a gleaming athlete, patting the disabled kid on the back, or like a stick thrown for a dog to fetch over and over, with a happy drooling face, accomplishing nothing. Am I making sense? Not nothing. Oh. I suppose dogs do bring us joy, and running isn't meaningless, endorphins and all that. But I mean, think about it. What could I hope to achieve by starting a new hobby now? I've already put too many eggs in the basket. Can't fish for serendipity in a lake ages dry. Serendipity. It's one of those words, you know? A word you feel so self-assured you know it. It makes perfect sense in your head. But when asked to define it, you blank out. You and or make up something vague and hope they buy it. Words like vicarious, sheepish, like idiosyncrasy. Did I pick this up from somewhere? I think it meant something like odd behavior. I know a thing or two about those then. Stop speaking in metaphors, you idiot. You're not in a book. How do they do it? I know exactly what I want to happen. It is right there. My story. My thought. No. No, no. Calling it a thought is an insult to human cognition. I might as well be a painter with 10 broken fingers. Pink and grotesque like whole fermented pigs. This brain whirlpool is suffocating me. I need to go for a walk. Anything but this. Run away, you always do. Oh God. It keeps happening. A voice batters me, like having an abusive paternal figure, but ever present, lodged in my skull, following me everywhere, eating away at... I can't. Hi, Mom. Ooh. I'm going out. What? No, just around the block. Eee. But I don't have any money. Fine. Eee. Okay. Ah! I love you too. I'm leaving now. Eee. I don't know what that was. The streetlights are out again. I can't believe she wants me to buy dairy now of all the times of day. For a second I thought I was too important to buy grocery. Where do I get off thinking like that? Historically, children were made solely to work. Not ancient history even. Imagine me hefting a hoe half my weight. No, my two greatest concerns are going on an errand, and that I can't write to save my life. It's hard to imagine sometimes. Our ancestors. Yes. Generation after another. Barely scraping by. Dying at 20. Then again. People wrote back then too, right? Surely a privileged skill at the time, but I guess they died so I could write. Oof. Then again. That passerby. The man with the hat. I think he just looked at me. Did he look at me? Is something wrong with how I look? My face? I know. He probably thinks he's better than me. I bet he compared himself to me and then looked away because he saw enough to think he was better. But if he knew me, he'd think differently, wouldn't he? He doesn't know. He doesn't know! He's not better than me. I have so much going for me. Who does he think he is? He has no clue that I wait. Did he think? No. I could take him. Put me in a room with him. I wouldn't even need a weapon. Why do I care what he thinks? Not only did I care, I swelled from within. No more than a few milliseconds of eye contact. Likely unintentional too. With someone I will almost certainly not come across the second time. And yet, for a moment that felt like an hour-long debate. Where I had to prove incontrovertibly my value as a human being. It was the briefest glance to someone I don't know and never will. I argued with myself and lost. He's gone now. You're right, but I don't imagine everyone has to deal with this. Certainly not every time they're outside. Ever since AI took over production lines and most jobs, people had far less reason to go out to study or work, and being naturally inclined toward laziness. Human socialization was reduced to texting for the most part. No one hangs out. This eroded social skills to a point where people forgot how to say hi. Not that I was a social butterfly before, but to think I've become such a recluse, such that a stranger would make my adrenaline pump like a faucet. I read about it somewhere. Being looked in the eye unnerves animals of all sizes. Somewhere in our genetics, eons ago, eye contact became the universal sign of danger. It meant you were being stalked. A predation candidate. Soon to be shredded alive. But somewhere along the way, we decided that eye contact is not even bad. It's required. A polite gesture showing attentiveness. Maybe. Maybe it means... You're careful. I suppose. Yeah. It is pretty late. They ought to fix those streetlights. I'm not going to the grocers just yet. I have to go there first. My second birthplace. I dreamt I dwelt in marble halls, and even to find it true? I wasn't born for a time like this. Was Jones? Was Smith? Were you? Long ago, something terrible was unearthed. A being of unimaginable power, fueled solely by hate. It was called many things. Monster. Aberration. A great unfathomable evil. It was let out into the world to hate and bring ruin. The more it saw, the more it hated. The more it hated, the stronger it grew. All attempts at stopping it failed. Even trying to outlive it, it outaged them. Hate drove it out to outpace even Father Time. And everything it came across, it turned into rubble. Or mincemeat. Till it met an unhateable person. Someone so kind they were wholly impossible to loathe. The hate-fueled being could not bring itself to cause the person harm. And the person in turn found the thought of hurting it unthinkable. Even if it meant saving others. It was a totally unplanned stalemate. A stalemate that allowed the hate-fueled being, for once, to feel love. The hate-fueled being and the unhateable person loved each other. Probably more than any two souls ever have. How come, one might think? Perhaps the hate-fueled being knew how deep the hate pit can be, giving it a one-of-a-kind spectrum of emotion. Or perhaps the unhateable person was just worth it. But the hate-fueled being, by definition, could not continue to be. And so the hate-fueled being died after having finally, truly, lived. Or so my story was supposed to go. If I ever managed to write it, hey, which of the two do you think I am? You're both at once. How? That's a bit paradoxical, isn't it? You're silly. The truth is, I envy them both. Power, love. In the end, we all fight for one or both, and most of us pass away having ended up with neither. In one sentence, I described my story to an AI model. It filled the screen in seconds. I had to scroll for a whole minute to see the end. The result was disjointed. A bit unwieldy, like a monkey with a gun. But it was more text than I've ever written put together. It used vocabulary I'd never have thought of myself. And a structure that makes so much more sense. Maybe a discerning reader can tell the difference. But there are enough AI-made publications out there that actually sell to put off most sound-minded people off the art form. This is a sinking vessel, and everyone else is jumping ship. Long ago, I used to come here to read. Or when I wanted to feel safe. Every other day or so. I told my mom that I went to school, but I hid here the whole time. Making sure I was back by the time school was over. Wearing my backpack and my fakest smile. Thinking back now, it was a miracle I managed to get past high school. But only when hiding did I ever feel safe being myself. And it's most likely how rodents feel at all times. I do not mean to pity myself. But everyone walks life to them, weighs the feather. But to me, crushes me. Life pins a pillow to my face so firmly, and I never run out of breath. Please, can nothing ever make it stop? The only thing worse than suffocating is not being able to die from it. What is left for me to do? My only means of self-expression fails me. Or maybe I failed it. What? What am I? You are you. What? I didn't see that coming. I was told once, remember when you struggle? Your suffering is yours, but it is not unique. Suffering is suffering. We all deserve some degree of sympathy. And I suppose knowing others are muddling through life like I am makes me feel a bit less incompetent. I don't suppose this is schadenfreude. I do not owe life an excuse to continue being in it. Do I? There. I deleted it all. Maybe. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time I can read it without cringing at myself. And even if I do, I could always sit here and stare and hope the thoughts materialize on their own. Like upending a jigsaw puzzle, hoping it solves itself. We have a terrible inclination to relate very strongly to catchy quotable lines. Short and punchy like a gotcha aimed at the universe. We post them, wear them, and tell them to others like a boring gospel. Like moths to a lit candle, we gravitate and blind ourselves. We are not perfectly hewn slots waiting for the right advice to fit in. What worked for someone may sound catchy to others, but it could be just another truth-shaped lie to accept. A square peg trying to fit into a round soul. Writing a book is a horrible, exhausting struggle, like a long bout of some painful illness. But does it have to be? I think I've outgrown quotes. I'm just glad I can make something I can call my own. Writer ending. Ending 1. It's a nice little short story. That was Backspace Backspace Backspace. If you want to see the rest of the endings, you can play yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye.